Casey's here, Pat's here, Robin's here, Donna's here, Doug's here. Mike Wilson is here, Fiona, Ellen, and John are here. Dan from ONG, Kemp from SLAM, Ryan Scott is here, Jeff Putnam, and the Wonder Girl, Marissa, is here.
Fiona?
Yep, Fiona. Yep. Approval of the agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda? Pat, have a second? Second, Armand. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes of August 17th. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Armand. Have a second? Donna? Any changes? Discussion?
There's a T dropped in my name, in a place, but again, doesn't really matter. Just to prove I read them.
Oh, no.
You know?
We don't do that all the time, Donna.
Just search for myself, that's all.
I think they thought you were Amy, maybe. Amy's name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did that change? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay.
I
Public
abstain, I wasn't here.
Oh, okay. Kathy abstains. Public participation. Members of the public and staff may bring to the committee's attention information, ideas, matters of concern related to all duties and responsibilities of this committee. The committee will not allow comments regarding specific staff members or personal grievances. Time for individual remarks will be according to the number of speakers and be limited to 5 minutes per speaker unless extended by the chair. Okay, any participation, public participation? No? Okay. Next one, Dan, MONG project status.
Hello, everyone. It's been a little while. I missed you all last month. So at this point, I think the packet that Ed has provides you aerial views as well as some progress photos that are included in our monthly progress update. As I flip through my notes from the project update, I can refer to the overall building footprint plan. So the aerial view that was taken back on August 29th, I believe, August 29th. Where we didn't have any roof on the middle school wing, ENF, whereas we do today, got to the completion of the roof on the middle school wing. So other items completed in the month of August, which is again 3 weeks back. I'll just run through my notes here. Roof level framing, spray insulation, gyp seating. In the center of the building, the high school cafeteria roof. In that aerial photo, you can see that roof area in the center of the view, and it's been loaded with some product. Noting there that, again, work was begun. We found the benefit to get that area dried in as it's close to the area of work, and it didn't require a lot of other trade coordination, so we grabbed that high school roof. It is now roofed. And that's pretty much all that happened in Area D. I see we had some steel put in for the roof handling units, and in the cafeteria of the middle school, we installed the stair 8. That's that decorative stair that comes down into the middle school treads and stringer. In Area B, our focus of work, I note that the ABB is complete. I note that the roof membrane is complete. I note that following behind the roof membrane, we do the structural steel fireproofing up there. Following that, it's the drywall trade that gets to go first, and then the HVAC guy goes, and the fire sprinkler guy goes. Those guys are finished now, actually, on Area B 4th floor. The hydronic piping through Area B was done and under the pressure testing back a couple weeks ago. That's complete now. and domestic water and electrical work on the main area, or our first area of drywall installation is level B1, your main floor in B1. Those areas are actually now rough inspected, and we're in the final throes preparing for a drywall start. In area A, I note that the chip sheathing is complete. So area A is your high school horseshoe coming towards us. At this point in time, that building is now completely sprayed in ABB. The mason has started work there. Today, he finished setting up his hydro lifts and started installing the first course at the second level lintel. So masonry has begun there. Other items I note, ABB on the courtyard side was finished a couple weeks ago. Fireproofing again moved behind the roof. The roof is complete in building A. Drywall, fire protection, ductwork, all those items followed ahead and are now complete on the 4th floor of building A.
Why don't you just mention about the truss?
Oh, yeah, I have no progress pictures for you, but the exciting part is the area A, the giant curtain wall that's facing you in the photograph. You can kind of see the two sides of the picture frame. Well, the top on the roof level is a series of trusses that mount to the top of the building that complete the 4-sided picture frame. And so those trusses arrived on Monday of week past, and they are now on the building. So you get a really better vision of the building and the whole picture frame for those who are able to be on site yesterday. So in area A, there's still a little, there's still some hydronic piping that's going on in the upper floor. 3rd floor of A is under hydronic piping. Not much other activity to report there, as trades just pick up a little bit of the in-wall rough is for piping and for back boxes, and that type of work is going on in A. See, in area C, we finished all the concrete last month. And this month, or most currently, is with the concrete in place, the last area of structural steel, what we call the relieving angles or lintels to carry the brick, are finishing tomorrow for what is to be adjusted for in and out, up and down, and welded off. So with that, the next activity on the auditorium, which has gotten the trade name The Egg. It's not quite a circle, it's more like an egg. The cold forward framing will begin there. Studs are extra long, they're on site. The trade is ready to start right behind the lintels there. That's what's happened in area C. In area E, see, we talked about the exterior cold form metal framing being in progress. At this point in time, the north side of area E and F, facing the existing school, is completely sheathed. We've completed the roof spray foam assembly. We have an insulation assembly that protects the roof parapet and any cold from migrating down to the 3rd floor. So that's all the way finished, all the way down on the existing school side, and then they are about 70% complete facing the courtyard. Working their way back towards the low roofs around the auditorium. Work is progressing nicely there. Inside area E, the ductwork trade has started installation. He's pretty much hung all his mains on level 1. He's moved up to level 2. The lower level fire protection is installed, mains. Work is there as a great swing space for the trade who, technically doesn't need to be pushing that work. But with the opportunity to have all the ductwork fabricated in this fabrication window, coordination's complete, and ductwork is being fabricated and delivered to the site. So area E moving along nicely to meet our progress requirements. Area F, I think I described that work for you. And then area G, from the aerial picture, we see a cement mixer in between the existing building and the new building. That's sitting in the footprint of our area G, new gymnasium for the middle school. At this point in time, they've completed the foundation work. Got about 4 days left to complete the underground plumbing, and there's an electrical mains that go below grade that head from the new structure towards the existing gym, and they will be used to feed new power to the gym and the auto shop in the future. So that's the work that's progressing on site. We're really focused in on drywall start. Critical path to us is to start drywall on V1. The controlling parameter that I had spoken to previously was to get the dry-in, get the roof on the building. And now to complete that process, we've got to get to the windows. So our mason is moving quite well. He's up to third floor window head on the courtyard side. He's at third floor window sill on the Route 8 side. And that's what we had targeted our drywall start for 25th. And we've moved that out 2 weeks. It's kind of a good opportunity as we've gone through the building, looked very closely at the interior partition framing, all of the back box coordination for all of your electrical devices, your tel data devices, your thermostat. All of that is now being double and triple checked because we don't want to close up walls and have conflicts with future installation of whiteboards. So the smart boards getting laid out with the whiteboards adjacent. If one overlaps an electrical or a thermostat box, we have this window of opportunity to get that work corrected. So we are dry in there, but we want to set the windows to be 100% dry. And we have the window contractor. We've met with the window contractor earlier this week, Tuesday, and he's ready to go. He's going to start in area D, setting our window frames because that masonry, as you might recall, ran ahead of the rest. And then we're looking to wash down at the end of next week, that area B, and he will start window installation really in earnest on 11/9, but he'll follow right behind the wash down on 11/2. So that'll be exciting. We're very excited to see the windows come in and windows get set. Zach Mordenti, one of our project superintendents, physically went to New Haven to check and make sure that all of the product was actually fabricated and actually ready to go. At this point in time, over 80% of the aluminum frames have been made into rectangles and are ready to ship to site. So there's no concern with that. Glazing deliveries have been put on a matrix for me so that I'm monitoring our glazing release. We have our first glazing will follow in sequence. Unfortunately, the second group of glazing won't be in until 11/13. So there's a slight delay in what we're going to have when we get to the second level of B for drywall. The drywall trade is given 3 weeks to run through an area per floor. So his technical start is in my months 10/16, brings them out to about 11/3, 11/5, and the windows are not quite there. The frames will be in, but the glazing itself, second floor release went with a much larger release, and so it's going to get hung up by about a week, unless it improves. We're trying to get the delivery broken into 2 pieces and get that glazing on site in time. So progress on the site is again doing well. Where the roofers picked up speed. They had a cancellation on another project, doubled up our crew size, and they have run down now and completed the area EF roof in its entirety. They'll move from there to the middle school cap roof, and then they can roof all around and the low area of what is the auditorium, or technically area C, the classroom spaces around the egg, and wrap up on the high roof of the auditorium. That's the progress. We're running now about 132 to
134 today.
134, which is a new record, lack of a better term. And there's plenty of building to put all that personnel in.
134, and 13 of those are apprentices from Torrington, so we're very happy about that.
We did have 2 sessions now where we've brought students from the Oliver Tech program, and they've shadowed some of our mechanical and plumbing contractors. That's a great opportunity to get them excited about the trades, get them pulled into looking at a career in construction. Any questions? I know we had a great walkthrough. Felt like I talked a lot, but didn't get too many questions. Got some questions, I appreciate that. And so you get to see firsthand, the building as it's progressing along. And interior finishes, we're very excited to get started, and this opportunity to flush out the last bit of this coordination before we go to town on drywall is great.
Quick question, since the roofer is now, well, I won't say ahead of schedule, but he's moving much quicker with additional folks. Does that give us additional dry-in opportunities in other areas that might help the schedule?
It moves dry in faster in like E&F. Mechanicals are running and it's okay that the building's not dry, but having the building dry is of course just nicer. Ductwork doesn't experience any type of wet condition. Where it does help us is in area C. So the mason is sitting on the roof right now trying to finish up the brick veneer on the tall portion of building B, what would be the closest corner to the egg. And mason pulls off and the roofer's right there to jump right behind him, putting on the roof in area C. What it really does is creates a drier environment. The trades, we've been working in conditions that aren't 100% dry, and that's just not the way you want to build. So it's beneficial. What's driving the schedule is really not the roof at this point. It's other trades. It's getting to the masonry, getting to the windows. Right now, the windows drive the drywall, and then once we get actually through the second floor of B, it's the interior rough of the electrician that begins to take over. At that point, there's more windows ahead of the electricians, and so they become the critical trade.
Thank you.
Yep.
I just have one question. Not that I'm opposed to the Wilkotech kids, I just want to make sure that the Wilkotech kids wouldn't be taking away any opportunities of the Torrington public school students.
No, we're open to everybody. Yeah, no, we're.
Remember last year, we also had Torrington kids come, and remember they made the baskets, 120 baskets for all the.
Right.
Right, no, we actually did reach out and let Brian know that we're trying to come up with curriculum activities to entertain the construction tech teacher. His name escapes me for a minute, but we had a little sit down with him. We hope to do that in September, but almost at the last week of September, and so the opportunity to hold a class in our field office and take them for a tour may have missed us in the month of September, but we do expect to have high school students from Torrington High School touring the building once a month.
Great, thank you.
You have a special curriculum, which you have.
Yeah, I've forgotten his name now, but the teacher has,
Jared,
thank you, has, he provided us curriculum, so we're looking to align what we have for knowledge base. When it comes to Wilcox Tech, they're more hands-on, whereas in the curriculum that's at, it's called our O&G Builds program. And what we have an opportunity with the Torrington High School kids is to really teach them the whole process of construction. Not just how to be a plumber, but maybe to take my role or to become an engineer in any of the other disciplines, and then to kind of give them an oversight of how building construction works at this grander scale. I know as a younger person, I only worked in residential until I was almost 30 years old. And once I got my college degree and I went to see commercial construction, my whole perspective of this industry changed. I really thought that my first opportunity to see commercial construction sites was as an undergrad, and I didn't get my undergrad. I was later in life. I didn't start school until I was 25. That changed everything for me, and having this opportunity to share that with younger people that are still at the high school grade, may inspire them to choose an engineering path or to go in the trades, whichever they put their hands on and feel like doing.
They started a program, OG has some dates, just so you know, October 12th, OG staff is talking about career paths. On the 9th, talking about safety and MEP coordinations. On the 14th, SLAM and CES will be there to talk about design and engineering. On January 11th, electrical career path, DINTO, net services will be there. This is temporary, we're trying to get everything set. On February 8th, plumbing fitters, that's MJ Daly in Blackwater, will be there. MJ Daly is doing all of the plumbing, the MEP and
MJ Daly has plumbing and HVAC.
HVAC.
Yeah, so it's chilled water piping, hot water piping, and then they subcontract out the dry or the air side of the pipe.
In March, it's the carpentry, so we have professional drywall and J&J acoustics. On the 11th of April, sheet worker career path, which LK Sheet Metal. On the 9th is our mason, and on June 6th is just the operator CJ Free Sheet. So this is what we're trying to get everything arranged for that.
Yeah, there's plenty of rough ends for these people to see at various stages. So Brian Pacuda, the senior superintendent on the site, has run this program before and looks to where's the best opportunity to put kids in visual of these trades in action.
And it just emphasizes their apprenticeship program with all the kids in it. There was a woman I met, she's an apprenticeship. She didn't like what she was doing before, so she works with the window, Cherry Hill glass, a little one, and she's, I think she's 31, 32, and she switched careers, and she's now working with the glass company. So I met her in the office there. So we're trying all phases to get kids to work in these jobs, which are great. So,
Yep, pay is good
yeah.
in this industry these days.
So a couple of them I saw, and I kept on asking them, are you saving any money? Well, I got a girlfriend. Okay, I don't care about it.
All young ones, right?
Yeah.
So any other, that's what really is physically happening on the site. A couple of the upcoming items, structural steel for that area G gymnasium and associated locker rooms arrives on site on October 16th. So we'll be standing up the building for about 4.5 weeks. And that wraps up the structural steel that will be on site until we get back to our March 2025, when foundations and building demolition of your existing moves forward and opens up space for that. Let's see, other milestones are all about drywall and windows. We're tracking masonry, windows, and drywall. Right now, overall schedule looks good. I'll jump right then to schedule, cost and schedule narrative. So I'll start with the cost items. We've virtually realized every VE item that we could possibly grab, and that number, I'm just waiting on one last trade, our acoustical trade, to give up the goods, and then we'll finalize our VE. Again, not quite where we want it to go, but over $2.5 million saved from bid day. We're still negotiating our detention basins. Trying to do my best to get you down to where I need to, I feel the price is appropriate. So I just note that, we're still at a $60,000 cost for the changes in the 3 systems. Let's see, we closed out the VE on changing some of the ceiling systems on V1. So I note that that's closed out. We had more cost than we had anticipated, but it's an appropriate cost on the north side of the existing daily drive access road. We had 2 locations that were taking water off the embankment. Probably wasn't a noticeable thing back when we hadn't pushed the limits to where we hadn't built that cul-de-sac. So half of the work was done over the summer. That work was done on time and material because it was ledge there, and we created now a super safe environment on the north side of that parking lot to pick up any water that comes off that embankment.
That's where the sugar shack is, right around there.
Right. And so you'll see essentially a trench drain that ties into the existing storm system. And again, that gives the parking lot longevity forever, as the future parking area is pretty much going to sit to the extent that you have your current parking area. Any water that would potentially undermine the parking area has now been captured and put into the storm system. So there was a $43K cost for that, a $30K cost because we think it's in your best interest and got the Institute of Masonry involved, and they made a recommendation which Ed endorsed, in which we're going to use, Ed and Mario, in which we're going to use a soft sealant around the cast stone above the window heads in lieu of a typical mortar product.
We were worried that in 3 years there would be cracks, and we do not want that at all.
Yep, a big cost, but not a huge cost, and it gives you, again, just a more solid long-term benefit. Cast stone expands a little bit differently than brick, and so having the 2 products next to each other with a mortar joint between them can introduce a crack adjacent to the cast stone. So let's see, I'm trying to do better than the 31K quoted, so that's not inked yet. There's a nice savings coming through some effort of SLAM. We looked at the bid documents, had 3 different colors, custom colors, for what will be the edge trim around the roof. And after some review, SLAM has thought to go with a standard color from the manufacturer with a lot of nice standard colors, and to make it a single color. So potential $35,000 savings for that. And then the bad news. So through the efforts of, remember Amy made a presentation here a couple months back in which she presented the space changes. So those all have come to us via documents from SLAM. I've been receiving costs from trades and working through those numbers, but there is a $158K estimate to incorporate all that work. So that's a big number. Topsoil relocation was pulled from the CM contingency, and we needed more space on the site. We moved the driveway at Major Vesey over behind the school at the pre-K parking lot is where we had a large stockpile of topsoil that we captured from when we built the original parking lot. We saw that as a too valuable a space to have just topsoil sitting on it, so we moved the topsoil to the right rear corner, just to the Route 8 side of the existing gym. And then we constructed that parking lot in we built the storm system and put in the sub-base and processed aggregate. And then we took all the trade contractor trailers that are all on the left side of your view here, and we put them all in the back. That opens up a lot more room for getting the utilities in while still ongoing work happens on the exterior masonry and windows. So there's a $30K cost to move the earthworks. We really had 2 primary problems that we ran into in cold form on the exterior of the building. One was worth about $15K, and the second is listed here as a $39K number. There'll be an additional cost as we wrap up that same detail on E and F. But overall, when you're looking at, there's easily, I estimate, probably over $500,000 better to $600,000 worth of cold form framing that makes up your building exterior. And to have those 2 hits, and that's it, is a good number. So the next number I mentioned is the water line. We've been going back and forth with Torrington Water, which I think I mentioned was now has become part of Aquarian Water. And Aquarian Water's opinion of what needs to be installed means about 200 feet more water main. So the water main, which used to run, or currently runs under Major Bessie Drive and was going to stay there, and ultimately ended up almost under the backstop of the future ball field, will be relocated out into the new Major Bessie Drive. So it's really, I have to say, it's in the best interest of the long term of the school. You don't have a water line that's kind of underneath some of the retaining wall and the ball field. We're pushing it out towards Major Bessie Drive. The other element that's related to Aquarian is that Aquarian requires easements on the property, which Ed will have to engage the civil engineer to draw plat and legal for, and then legal will have to work out a deal with Aquarian to get that in. So those are my big cost issues. Overall in cost, as we look to the project for us, at this point in time, we were tracking, we picked up through those items, 160,000 for the space use changes, 80,000 for that water line, and 2 or so for 40. It picked up the owner's cost impact is about 300K month to month. On the CM contingency side, we've also hit some dollars. We're probably a little over 140,000. Currently, the CM contingency still stands at 3,024,000. Tracking very well to be giving back, plus 1.5 million. I do on a monthly update project what you call our burn rate for issues that are related to construction, such as moving that topsoil pile and other odd, trade-related coordination things. So I'm tracking that, and month to month I'm looking ahead. And through experience, I know that it does get pretty linear as time moves forward. Things don't change much. And again, right now that's projecting $1.5 million available at the end of the project.
Yeah. Can you give us a little bit more detail on the space changes that you mentioned? You had it here, so 158.
Yeah, so began with a flushing out of the FF&E packages and meeting with staff again. And then what was determined was a couple of significant changes. One was the faculty dining area was off the cafeteria. That moved to a different space that didn't have any plumbing. And there was a health class, which also didn't have any plumbing, became an art class. So those are your two primary big ticket values. Some tel data got shifted around. Windows, doors associated with framing changes.
You have to change the door in the pre-K.
Yeah, if I may, a lot of it was generated from working with the new principal, added enrollment.
So it did address the enrollment.
Is there any related topic, any update on the status? There was a lot of discussion, I think, at the last meeting about the music.
Music?
The music department or an office.
Yeah, it's all taken care of.
Yeah, we took care of
We
that.
took care of it.
Within what's already there.
Within
So
the
no extra-
library area, so
So no extra.
no extra costs taken care of. The only extra cost, I should say, we had to put a data drop.
I was gonna say, there's a data
I
drop in there.
forgot that. I mentioned it, Tom.
It's good.
Transparent, data drop.
Yeah, great, thank you.
And he can fit his couch there.
Okay, so moving ahead to the schedule then is, I noticed from the minutes from the last meeting that I did not attend, a couple of the reported numbers are included for you to see and understand. So the scheduler, ONG scheduler, has a method in which he calculates the total number of tasks and the durations that are required to build through the building. And then he compares that to percentage of days that have gone by. And so that's what you're looking at the high school. In this report, it reports 42% physical progress as opposed to 41% days expended. We're right on track. The project on the high school is moving ahead as planned. The middle school, 28% complete as opposed to 33%. That's understood as well because he's really taking it as a whole. And the middle school area doesn't deliver for quite a bit later. And so work is not, there's not as many tasks related to the middle school in what's getting completed now. It's going to flip over as we move from, high school to primarily middle school. So overall, project schedule is good. The tracking very well to what was our bid document start of, in the bid documents, we put out a schedule that the trades all have to buy into. And in that schedule, we start drywall on 11/1. So by hitting our target at 10/16, we're still 2 weeks ahead of where we thought we'd be when we developed that initial bid schedule. What is confusing is the chart. So you all see some people are all looking at the chart, which is great. So what I wanted to explain is how this changes. In the left column indicated as a benchmark date, that's the date that was in our schedule in June. So then it becomes a little confusing is why is the dates in June not consistent with what we had put out as a schedule in June? And I want to explain that as when we put out the schedule that's included in the contract, I get another chance. And so when the trade contractors come on board and they're giving me information in which I can redo the schedule based on the feedback I get, I took a lot of their time away. Essentially moving the completion date for what would be, I think, the best indication or the one that jumps out at you is about halfway down the page, there's something called Area B completion, lower level to 3. And so we had put out a schedule in June that said we were going to be finished with building B in April. That's really early. Okay, so again, I'm just trying to keep the trades under pressure and trying to minimize. I took the durations that they had been given, but I took and I manipulated them so that they compress overall. So what I don't want anyone to get alarmed with is as you read across that line, back in June it said April. In this month's schedule update to the trades, I really put a lot of corrections in. I put appropriate lags, I put appropriate sequential work, and that is what was the primary reason why we moved from an April to July. So even just so that nobody's nervous, a July delivery is good for me because I know I need that same trade base to move around the building. I can't wait until October or November and expect them to finish the whole building in October, November. But I can certainly expect them to finish building A and B in July, August to give us the time to finish through the kitchen, through the auditorium, academic spaces, and have the flow of work ultimately end up in Area E. And with a July and an August completion of building B and building A, your primary areas to receive FF&E. FF&E doesn't arrive until November. We're still sitting pretty with doors locked, rooms clean, waiting for furniture. So overall, the schedule is sound, but that's that metric that's going to look a little bit odd. May choose as we move forward. As the building becomes completely dry and all areas start to sheetrock, probably update the benchmark date to be what is really appropriate. And that way you'll be able to see variations, if anything's coming up from when we start drywall to when we expect to be carpets and keys. A couple other things on schedule, just, I mentioned the drywall, we're moving that to work with the windows. And then I mentioned my other thing, which was just some sequencing that we did to really appropriately stage the work. The other item that you'll note is there's a 48-day move to the Area C completion. That was simply a logic bust. I had a bust in my schedule that said that wasn't driving the ductwork contractor from building D into C. Once that corrected, that correction occurred. So as expected, and as noted elsewhere, is that the critical path through the building runs through B&A, and then it runs through your last area of completion, which is your auditorium. Auditoriums can take almost a year to build out, and so that's where putting the exterior studs on the egg, which is our next, we're hitting that in last week of September, first week of October. We're on track to give ourselves a full year of construction to build out the auditorium and finish the project. So a lot of shifts in the schedule between last month and this month, and I just wanted to make sure I expressed that this week.
Any questions, John?
I just do have a question. I'm just a little bit concerned about us changing layouts without the building committee reviewing it. So I don't really understand what we're doing with the library and the office. And my only concern is I'm very worried that if we start doing for some, we're gonna get a lot of other people wanting changes to the building.
I was gonna say,
I guess I just don't understand it that much, what has actually
But
been
do you
agreed
remember-
to.
We had
It was
a,
probably 3 meetings ago.
right.
No, I know what was requested. I just don't remember us talking about actually making a change to the building.
Oh, well, that's what her presentation was about.
Yeah.
When Amy made a presentation, she had handouts to describe the moving of the faculty dining area and the space use change.
But the meeting had a request. We never made a decision about doing it. I think it's Fiona's point, right?
Yeah,
We
and,
heard the request,
and
but
the
we never
music, is that the
acquiesced.
regular library that's taking space away, or is that
No,
the
no,
music
no,
library?
It's a music library.
It's a library.
It's gonna double as an
That was
office
always
and a
there.
music library.
The music library, just putting a
Basically, we're just putting a desk in. an
desk in there
existing room.
and a drop. That's it. It's already in the plans. We just put a desk in there.
Yeah,
That's not the regular library.
Okay.
Regular library is set. The librarian likes it. She made a change with Brian, and that's the regular library.
At the high school media center library, actually, a couple of walls were eliminated and space was opened up so that you have a larger space, with a couple of isolation breakout rooms were eliminated there, so that turned out good.
They need a little more space. The library needed a little more space for seats and so forth. So she was involved with Amy and Brian, and we had that picture here.
And the only physical wall changes were at the 2 rooms that were health rooms. When one became the faculty dining and the other became an art room, the physical wall location moved between the 2 spaces, so that the footprint or the square footage of each room changed slightly. That combined with windows going into the space and the door locations going into those spaces. So that's the only space change, and then the media center was the physical wall, and we eliminated the wall between what was the cafeteria and the faculty dining. Took that framing out.
It was
to make it a larger.
The
space.
seating was 364. We have 402 there. Because Brian needed, just in case, you don't divide it by 3 because there's space there. So you can seat 402 kids at one sitting instead of 364.
I think the action by Amy at that time was really to get approval to move forward with the construction documents to make all those changes. And that was the purpose of her presentation and the direction she got at the time. Now, in the course of construction, we were at the point of, most studs were up in those areas. So a portion of the work had to be released on time and material where they moved the wall. They had to take very little backwards on a couple of little electrical backwards work. But primarily it was getting the studs in the right place so that the next wave of trades were roughing into the right locations. And now it's negotiation time.
Next is, John is here. You want to go over your reports?
Sure.
John and Jenny from BL Company.
So in your packet are the reports that were issued since the last committee meeting back in August. There's one more report coming out early next week. So the cadence of our visits once a week is with the timing of the visits, and we take that opportunity to go through and give you a snapshot of the progress of the work, document the work that transpires in each part of the building. And I will say, I don't want to reiterate everything that Dan went through, but since the last time we met, it's nice to see that the A and B high school is dry. That's one of the, if you look back on report 30, they just started it. And as of the last site visit, they were just finishing that up. So that was a major milestone that was met, as well as the framing inside of parts A and B, which you all saw. That has progressed very well through the buildings. So during these site visits, I meet with O&G. Mario and Ed are usually on site, and we meet. Anything that we see that may be non-conforming, although I must admit there's not very much that has been found to be non-conforming. Any questions that come up or unforeseen conditions, it's an opportunity for me to collaborate with Mario and with Dan and Slam to help try to resolve. We had a couple unforeseen conditions over the last couple of weeks, and they were addressed
We found a manhole
quickly.
Yeah,
below the old concrete sidewalk.
there was a manhole that, what year was it that they?
Just reading
Oh,
that.
that was actually two, yeah. One, we found there's a manhole that's got a special cover that was generated after the school won in a
State champs.
tournament.
State champs.
Grabbed that.
Yeah, so what we're thinking of doing is, because we don't want to put another manhole, we're thinking about putting it near the opening of the gym and putting in the concrete and so forth. So that's what
They'll
we're
pick
doing.
up the manhole cover and the concrete underneath it.
No, they can pick up the manhole cover.
I know, actually, we tack weld it down so nobody picks up the manhole.
So
We did
those are some of
actually
the
find one
things
that was
that we run into
buried.
while we're visiting the site, and it's an opportunity to troubleshoot and figure out the history of where these things occurred and why they're there, and work around them. Because in the case of one of the manholes, there was a foundation wall that ran right across the top of it. So not unusual to find those types of things. And what I'd like to say is that O&G is very proactive in that respect, and they are able to address these and resolve these quickly. And one of the things I can see from these periodic visits is the work is continuing to move forward in a very orderly fashion. It's very well thought out, it's very well organized, and the manner in which the manpower is manipulated around the building to keep things moving smoothly is a testament to the team's work. I visit a lot of projects, and that's not always the case. And so I continue to be impressed by the way things are moving on this project and how well organized they are. Slam has been very supportive, very responsive to any questions that do come up. At the back of the report, you'll find some observations that we made, the number of observations that we have, and the level of significance are small in both respects. Typically, we have 30 or 40 issues on a project like this. Here, I think we maybe have a dozen, and none of them are catastrophic. Met with O&G yesterday and went through and addressed how each was going to be addressed when people got there to work on it. So there's a plan to move forward on each one of those. And in the end, that there'll be no outstanding issues when the project gets completed, but we keep this running and keep it on the list until it gets resolved. But I can report that, as Dan pointed out, work is moving along very smoothly. There's a lot of forward thinking, which is always encouraging. There are not many emergency questions that are flying out. A lot of times we'll find RFIs to the engineer are very, I need this now, and there's not a lot of those coming because O&G is forward thinking in that regard. So again, I can report that the work is progressing quite smoothly and it's very organized.
John's very helpful when Mario meet. If there's a problem, John is there and we don't solve it. They solve it. So it's really good.
Another set of eyes is always helpful. Yeah. A different perspective on something, different experiences can help solve. There's always a number of different ways to solve problems. Right?
Something I didn't report on, and I don't have to interrupt you, but on the same thought, SLAM's design team on the mechanical electric plumbing side, CES, has been to the site several times. They're now ongoing reviews of work in progress, again, generating QA/QC comments for us to keep track of and to remedy. And then the third-party commissioning agent has that same role. So he's come through the building several times. With those two entities starts the O&G QA/QC program, where we utilize our database and our document sharing platform, which is called AConnect. We created this issues portion of it. That's where we can identify something, take a snapshot of it, identify it location-wise and plan, and then as soon as we enter it in the associated trade, the project manager and the foreman for that trade get an email, they get the picture, they see where the issue is, and then they respond to it when it's been corrected. So we're now, we engaged John's comments into that platform, and we have the MEP team as well.
Any more questions for John?
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Next item is phase one, the retainage for CJ Fucci. You have that in your packet. I just, as he's a couple items left, we want to give his part of his retainage back. So I'm looking for approval to pay O&G, which is Fucci, $143,826.71. Pat, got a second?
Second.
Who's that?
Second.
Donna? Any discussion?
What does that leave it?
That leaves 31,000.
So we've got a short list of items. So the only permanent work that was put in place by the phase one team, besides all the piers that went below the building, that's all permanent too. You just don't see it. The Daily Drive cul-de-sac bulb. If you recall, we couldn't get the part that was needed to make that gate smart, and that part finally came in May and got recently installed. So that triggered to me substantial completion of the gate. And then we had a formal punch list review with Slam and Henry's, the landscape architect, with Slam. And we have, I think there's 20 items that we generated to put on that list. You know, the biggest thing is they have to finish commissioning the gate, and the smallest thing is I didn't like the concrete on the conduit that came out of the ground that needs to be cleaned off.
That includes relocating the pads, key card pads at the
There
gate.
was nothing from our punch list. We're awaiting Slam's determination as we know. So what the concern was, the keypad cards are shown to be flush to the face of curb. And so we have a concern that somebody's gonna wipe them out. They've been in place now with the buses running, so the decision wasn't made at that meeting, just to be clear, whether or not a move was necessary.
But no one's wiping the card right now.
Right. But the card reader is there.
Well, the danger's gonna be when the lady tries to get close, or the guy tries to get close to swipe the card, and he or she gets too close.
There's a potential.
Further discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
We put the bollards, just I think
Right,
there was
the
a question, is
oh,
where the
sorry,
bollards go.
yeah.
We put the bollards as close or in the best line of protection, but the way that the physical shape of these islands are, that the point at which the curve is at its most is where the card reader is flush to. So there's no way to get a bollard right in front of it. To Mario's point, though, we did discuss, you know, it would not be, it's certainly a doable item that we could we could move those probably 8 to 10 inches back off the face of curve, just to provide just a safety factor.
I definitely think that's something we should look at.
It's still close enough for.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
so, you know, it's.
The next one is the application 15, which is phase two, $5,706,482.43. Have a motion to approve. Robin, second. Pat. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Next item,
We're about 300,000 under where I projected the cash flow to be. I was on the wrong side one time by about $100,000. And this month now we're swung back to.
just so you know, as usual, I'll bring the bills to the city, and I have a meeting tomorrow with Dan. I'll give him an update of cash flow from now to, I think, that one is a long time. So I give him a cash flow over time. The next one is PCO 80R1 corridor lighting ceiling change. That's a credit to us of $12,391. Any discussion on that? Just relocation.
Yeah, there was difficulty in coordinating the coffer lights. I think we've spoken to this a couple times, and we went back and forth with the trades to capture as many dollars as we could. We physically couldn't fit the piping and things that needed to be above ceiling with these coffers that were into the ceiling space. We ended up getting a fair credit on the light and fixture package. At least that works.
Have a motion to approve PCO 80R1. Second?
Second.
I'm on. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? The next one is the acceptance or rejection of alternate B5, custom graphics, which is $32,000. You have the plan in front of you.
So that's the packet I walked around, or I passed out. I just wanted to show you guys the locations. If you were to go to that packet and look at the cover page, you're looking at now what is, maybe this is a pretty picture. So I've highlighted in green the location for where what would be called a digital graphic. So this is a wallpaper product in which they can put a digital image and then create a wallpaper for it. So what would be the southern wall of the now enlarged cafeteria space? You see the plan view on the first page of the document, and then if you turn the page, you see the elevation view. So on that far wall of the cafeteria, you have the opportunity to create a digital image and make a wallpaper. So for the 32,000, you get one in the high school the high school cafeteria, as the main entrance coming off of area H. If you recall, or if you take a look, there's a key on the side in the border of the drawing. It shows you where you are. You're in area H. So that's where you're walking in at your primary drop-off location for high school students. There's one there. Again, there's an elevation view for you. The fifth page tells you that there's one in the high school media center. Sixth page tells you there's one in the middle school media center. So
These are in the contract right now, this would be a deduct, or is it gonna?
Oh, that's it.
opposite direction.
Okay.
It's an add alternate. Currently, you have a painted wall at those locations. You did get the benefit on a good buyout that there are a lot of custom wall coverings throughout the building, probably 8 locations, where instead of just a painted wall, you have a print wallpaper. They're not front of house, they're more back of house, like in the Board of Ed space, in the back side of the administration offices. So because of some buyout mistakes made by the trade, we got those for free. We got those included in our base contract price. So this alternate is a 32K add just to add those locations.
May I ask who picks the digital image?
That's outside of anybody.
I
Yeah,
guess,
that takes a whole community and
Community,
committee.
yeah, committee.
That's
but
one of
does
the
it
most
happen
difficult parts of
after?
that.
I mean, is it where,
Well, no, it's got to be done
part
quite
of the
a,
install?
quite a ways in advance.
Yes,
Yeah, we would
it is a
coordinate
very difficult thing to get settled
Part,
and
yeah,
bought
as soon as possible.
and built.
So,
Vinyl, the vinyl pieces that explain to me how they get affixed or what the complexity of it is.
So any type of digital image can then be imprinted on wallpaper. And so if you had a picture of the Torrington T, and you wanted to make that a 10 by 10 square, it would be 4 sheets of wallpaper that then would be applied to the wall to align and become that image.
Please don't interpret this as, I don't know what the word is, but I feel like a lot of that product, maybe it's not as good, but can be bought after and applied. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I could get wallpaper for my home, for example, and put it up
Oh, yeah.
digitally. So I guess my proposal is that we don't do it right now. I would suggest that we save the 32 and put it to something else.
You make me happy when you say that.
Yeah, it takes a long process, and I agree with you. We have a number of, about 8 of them that are going on free of charge and so forth around the building, around the pre-K area, around the conference rooms, around the administrative area, both schools.
Sounds like we're gonna have to rush to get it in place,
Yeah,
given the lead time anyway,
Yeah.
so it's not a
Yeah.
decision on.
Right.
I think that.
And we also have a wonderful art department
Oh, yeah.
with very talented, some students are very talented, and it's something that I feel like we could easily decide to spruce up an area after.
It's an expensive ad.
yeah.
Did
4
someone
locations,
request
it's
this?
an
It's
expensive ad.
ad.
Did
You know?
someone request this?
What's that?
Did someone request this?
Oh, no, it
Oh.
was
It
just,
must have been something way
Way
back in
back.
the original.
Excuse me, during the design process, we talked about having these areas to help brand the school. And just give it some life and soul.
If you've been to Applebee's,
That's what I-
right, with the pictures of all the kids there,
Yeah.
it's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
We can take this.
we can do that in our own time, not rushing everything.
I mean, there's contractors out there, obviously. that
Of
provide
course.
Service, and you might even be able to get it some kind of discount.
Correct.
Or have the kids do it, and we just.
Seems like something you'd want to change every 10 years anyways. The great, that's commercial quality, maybe it would last 30 years, but Applebee's does change theirs now. and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
You might want to, for that school feel, refresh it every so often, to your point.
All right, well, we'll kick the can down the road,
Yeah.
or we'll take a vote in that regard anyway.
You want to make a motion to reject, Donna?
I'll make a motion to reject B5 ad alternate.
Second that. Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Next item, analysis of progress payments. So, just so you know, update, again, as you remember the last time, the month of July was the state closed, then they changed their computer systems, and then they said that we had a problem. So we never had a problem, everything was perfect. We met, Mario and I, Michelle Cook, the mayor, Dan Farley, Robin, the controller, met with about 6 people from the state. They said progress payment 7 was no problem, which they said was unorganized, wasn't unorganized, and they paid us $9 million the next day. I think we said, okay, what about progress payment 8? Well, and everybody is new up there, okay? So everybody's going through a learning process. They said, well, everything is perfect, but we need copies of all the checks. They don't tell anybody this unless we were on that thing. So the next day they received, she said, if I receive the checks by Friday, you'll get paid by the end of September, which is approximately $19 million. So everybody heard it, and we also asked them about retainage, because retainage was supposed to be 11, it went down to 7.5, should be 5. They said it's gonna be 5% from now on. So we are waiting for that check, which is about $19 million, coming hopefully by next week.
So Ed, so all that retainage that was at a higher rate, it's still staying?
It's gonna stay at the
It'll
high
stay,
rate,
so
yeah.
there's no
No change
payments
from now. So And also that she said, okay, next time you send in a progress payment, besides giving us the check number, we want you to now tell us the page numbers. So we gotta do all the page numbers now. So that's, last time was 1,200 pages, so. It's just, and they don't tell anybody. If we didn't have a meeting.
Yeah.
Nobody would have told us they didn't want the check numbers, want the checks, and now you want the page numbers.
Not only that, they say they pay every 30 days.
Every
But
12
then-
days, they
but-
said.
Right,
remember?
12 days, but then they said it'll take 45 days, so that means your next bill is going in 15 days before you're getting paid. So every month, they're gonna fall at least 15 days behind. So 3 months from now, we're gonna be right back to where we started, right, which is months and months behind.
Right.
Which causes a crunch on the job.
But the good thing is now we know,
Right,
and then it's easier to plan that way.
correct. And,
Versus
but
having
the problem,
money in the bank.
we, as long as we know what the problems are, we can deal with it. Nobody else does out there in the state, because nobody's told anybody. So-
Very new people.
Yeah, so just, next thing, we had a meeting today, Kemp, myself, Amanda Hastings, and Nick D'Agostino with the state on FF&E, with Kurt Thompson, who's our nicest guy ever. And he went through how the state is divided up now into 4 different parts. And he says to us, correct me if I'm wrong, everybody's new, nobody knows anything. Right?
More or less.
More or less. So we met, we had a great meeting today, and we're going to the state after, and you'll see on the next meeting, it's a joint meeting on October 19th for the FF&E, and then we go to the state on November 8th and 9th. So just give you a rundown on, it was a good meeting with Kermit. He's always good.
Yeah.
Kermit likes Torrington, loves us, so it's good. So that's that. Next, payment of invoices. First payment is SLAM, $75,870. I have a motion. Second. John, on. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next one, BL Companies for $5,890.50. Is that Fiona? Armand? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. And the last one, Tri-State, there were 4 invoices that total $15,869. They're there every day.
Virtually every
They're
day.
virtually every day, they're doing a great job. So I've got a motion to pay Tri-State $15,869. Pat, have a second? Second, Donna. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. The last thing, good of the order.
Great job, everybody. Dan, nice to have you back.
Thank you. Yeah. Got a
Good
cold.
work, everybody.
I picked up a cold down a couple of days ago, so I apologize for losing my voice here.
Going down the road, Amy?
Can I ask a question? I know I'm not technically. I was just wondering, the updates on the progress is great, thank you. And it sounds like it's coming along well. We as a faculty, I'm Erin Sullivan, by the way, I teach at the high school, met with some of the project managers back in the spring to just discuss the rooms and discuss furniture. And we left kind of with more questions than we got answers in terms of the functionality and the logistics for faculty of what it's going to look like. When might some of those details be available? When can we talk about that more? And I just want to find an avenue in which we can approach that.
Right, Danny?
Yeah, I don't think, well, I'm not sure, when you say the functionality, are you referring to how the actual classroom works or more logistically of how the building works?
A little bit of both, right? A little bit of both, of how the classrooms will look, the functionality of sharing classrooms, the workrooms that the teachers will have, the logistics of the building itself, and when the start times will be, and kind of continuing Because it's gonna be a big different setting than where we're at, and so we kind of would like to understand, again, the logistics and the functionality of it.
Well, once we get the drywall up, you can see where the rooms are, you know.
Yeah. Physically, within the building space, you'll get a pretty good feel for what the rooms are now, how the rooms function as far as AV, where the teachers will plug in a laptop and how that projection, gets to the smart board. That's information that really needs to be conveyed. It's not a physical thing that you see in the space today. As the builder, I can give you an overview, but generally that information comes from this fellow D'Agostino and Associates. He's made a couple of presentations to this committee in which he's gone through some of that information, how AV works in the classroom space. That's about the extent of what I can offer for that portion of your question. How the building works and where teachers go and what workrooms and how that all works. That, to me, and I don't want to overstep, is really between Brian and how SLAM understood Brian's requests and how they made that work with a space plan.
We can get you the drawings.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep.
Thank you.
So you're physically in the high school building?
Yeah.
So the tour that we had earlier this week, we did have sets of plans for those people that walked through. I can generate the same thing. It's hard to read plans if you're not used to seeing them in 2D form like that, but it's a great place to start. So we visit the school central office, more than once a week. And so I'll have another dozen of those prints made up and left in the front office. And you can check with them, and that'll give you a better space plan idea of what things look like.
Thank you.
Will there be walkthroughs
I'm sorry.
will there be walkthroughs for the staff at some point soon, or when?
Yeah, it's not so much soon as, you don't get a feel for the space until you're drywall,
Drywall.
So as you,
Right now, everything is open, and
you just can't feel the space
right.
because the
You can
studs
see
are
the
all-
number of the
Right.
classroom, it says foods, but.
Right.
There's enough classrooms, and there's enough places for study hall, and we are having 7th graders, and all these other
all
things
this,
that we're hearing.
Right. Just to let you know, I did an analysis and gave it to Brian and so forth. If you take all the classrooms that we have and you used it 100% utilization, you can fit 1,691 kids in the high school. But we don't have 100% utilization, and that's why we can fit the number of kids at the high school. Every room is documented, whether it's an ROTC for 20 kids, 6 science rooms for 144 kids, construction tech room with 16, an auto lab for 18, a digital graphics lab and Mac lab for 24, art studios for 66, art ceramics for 20, a gym for 2 for 50, all of those, if 100% utilization with 350 kids in the cafeteria while everything's going on, 1,691 kids could go in that building, which we're not going to put 1,691 kids. It's going to be 1,007 today, and it's going to go down in 4 years to less than 1,000, which I did a projection. Because we have, as of today, as of the 8th grade, 91 kids from the 8th grade went to OWTS. That's the highest number. I think more kids are going to go to OWTS for whatever reason. 91 kids. That's why the 9th grade is only 250 something kids.
There's a renewed interest in trades because of cost of college.
Right.
Right now, all you see is from they first put the steel up, you see it kind of partitioned off, but it's not real yet until.
Yeah, no, I understand, but
Yeah.
it'd be good to start a project and start to understand.
Yeah, so looking at it, you can kind of see where, this is here and this is here, and it looks like it could be a room, or it is a
Right,
room.
but that's where the plans come in handy. So.
Right,
Yeah,
but you
I
still
agree with
can't, you can kind of visualize it, but not until, like he said, the walls are up.
Yeah, looking ahead, I would say that's going to be in around the December timeframe that we'll have most of building B and A, most of your classroom spaces. The central office space will be sheet rock. We'll be moving into other
B
areas.
and A of the high school side.
That's when you really get a better feel for the space.
We've spent a lot of time as the committee talking about that we want to make sure the teachers are happy
Yeah.
and trust that part of the process early on, which I know it was meeting with them, but in that spirit, and probably assuming that if I were a teacher, I'd have a lot more questions than just what do the rooms look like. I'm wondering if we could, in addition to getting them plans, but could we identify a person that Aaron or representatives could go to specifically without necessarily waiting for a committee meeting and to discuss this or get information, and then also potentially ask that if you have concrete questions, other than, because I'd be curious about the tables and the drawers in them if you're sharing rooms and whatever questions that you guys might have. I'm just thinking in terms of communication and making the teachers feel like they have been a part of this process on our mind, that it would be good to have a person that they could go to, either on the committee or somebody.
I volunteer.
Jump on that one, Ed.
I'll start working at the high school tomorrow, so.
All right, you got it.
Perfect.
Not easy access.
So, Doug, you have a question? Anything? Good in your order.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, no, thank you for everyone involved in the construction, and thanks again to the students and staff for living with the construction that they didn't ask for, and they may not necessarily get the benefits of, the students at least that are graduating, et cetera, so thanks to everybody.
John, anything? Donna?
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Case?
Dan, thanks again for another great tour.
We didn't
get
charge
enough
you, we
questions.
didn't charge you twice this time.
Answering
No
them
charge,
all
that's great.
before I got asked.
Any status update on the grant process for the sports complex?
We're still waiting.
About the 24th.
24th, next week.
Nothing.
Sorry, I missed the walkthrough on Tuesday. I was planning to do it on Monday, but it got rained out, so I will be there next time.
One thing, listen, guys, on Monday, about 9:30, 10, if you get a jolt, it's me praying for you because it's the Day of Atonement, and all your sins will go away Monday at 10 o'clock. Just want to let you know.
Thanks, Ed, in
Okay.
advance.
We can all have a lot of fun before Monday at 10.
Thanks for the warning.
Okay, get ready for the jolt. Yeah, get ready for the
10
jolt.
o'clock.
Dan, anything?
Nothing else, thank you.
Great meeting, everyone, thank you.
My understanding is you are supposed to be atoning for your sins.
Oh.
My. That sounds more like Christianity if you're atoning for mine.
We like to stretch it a little bit.
Okay.
Ryan, anything?
Great meeting, thank you.
Thank you, thanks again for our difficult questions at times. Thanks for your patience.
Great meeting, thank you.
Robin?
Thank you.
Marissa?
Great meeting.
Next meeting is the joint meeting on October 19th, Board of Ed and Building Committee to go over the FF&E package. And we met with the state today to verify certain things. Once the board approves and the building committee approves, we go to the November 8th and November 9th to the state package.
I can be at 5:30.
Oh, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. Yep.
So
Okay.
at that meeting, we're going to be presenting a summary of the technology package. We will ask for sign off on the SCGO 42 form to go to the state.
Ed, that's
Yeah.
at 5 on the 19th?
5 o'clock, yeah.
Here?
Here, yeah. Have a motion to adjourn at 6:20. At second? Second, Armand. Discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Don't forget that jolt between 9:30 and 10.